Scott Heat, Mrs. Scott Heaton, Mrs. Williams.
Have mine. Here. She can. I got one. Thank you. So I can share. Oh, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Where is it?
Okay, good evening. Open Publics Meeting Act notice. The New Jersey Open Publics Meeting Act was enacted to ensure the rights of the public to have advance notice and to attend the meeting of the public body at which any business affecting their interest is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provision of the Act, the Union Township Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published by having the date, time, and place thereof published in the Star Ledger and the Union County local sources, posted in the administrative building of 2369 Morris Avenue, Union, New Jersey, filed with the township clerks, and mailed to all persons, if any, who had requested said notice. During the course of the board meeting, the Board of Education offers members of the public an opportunity to address issues regarding the Union Township Public Schools. The board reminds those individuals to individually identify themselves by name and address. The first public comment period is for items on the agenda. The second public comment period can be on any issue. Public comments are limited to 3 minutes respectfully. Issues raised by members of the public may or may not be responded to by the board. All comments will be considered and a response will be forthcoming when and if appropriate. The board asks all members of the public to be courteous and mindful of the rights of other individuals when speaking. Comments regarding students and employees of the board will not be responded to by the board. Madam President.
Motion.
Second. Mrs. Bryn Swanson.
Yes.
Ms. Carbonell.
Yes.
Mrs. Manisi.
Yes.
Mrs. Regis Darby.
Mr. Arminio told me to vote no. No, it's just yes.
Ms. Santana.
Yes.
Mrs. Scott Heaton. Ms. McKenzie.
So she said. I know. I need a good fight, huh? This is, yeah, I did, I checked with Brent. In the room, out to the library to the left. I know. I need a good fight, huh? This is, yeah, I did, I checked with Brent. In the room, out to the library to the left. I know. I need a good fight, huh? This is, yeah, I did, I checked with Brent. In the room, out to the library to the left. I know. I need a good fight, huh? This is, yeah, I did, I checked with Brent. In the room, out to the library to the left. I know. I need a good fight, huh? This is, yeah, I did, I checked with Brent. In the room, out to the library to the left. I know. I need a good fight, huh? This is, yeah, I did, I checked with Brent. In the room, out to the library to the left. I know. I need a good fight, huh? This is, yeah, I did, I checked with Brent.
you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, great. Welcome back. May I have a motion to approve the following minutes? July 18, 2023 regular meeting, July 18, 2023 executive session, August 15, 2023 regular meeting, August 15, 2023 executive session, September, that's the attachment, sorry.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
have a roll call?
Mrs. Bryn Watson,
As per my previous comments, I believe the August 15th executive session minutes are incomplete, so I am voting no on that. I am voting yes on the other minutes.
Ms. Carbonell,
Yes.
Mrs. Manisi,
Yes.
Mr. O'Shea,
Yes.
Mrs. Regis Darby,
Yes to July 18th, regular and executive, and abstain from the 15th. I was not here.
Ms. Santana,
Yes.
Mrs. Scott Heeden,
Yes.
Mrs. Williams, oh, sorry, Ms. McKenzie.
Yes. Okay, the various communications you see listed there will be voted on under personnel, and now we will have the superintendent's report. Dr. Beneficia?
Thank you, Madam.
Oh, I'm sorry, you know what, I made a mistake, I skipped the, public comments on the resolutions. Are there any comments from the public on the resolution? My apologies. On the resolution, no?
On resolutions.
Comments on the resolutions only at this point? No? No, okay, all right, I apologize, thank you.
And so, to start the night, I would like to just share something about a past employee that the district unfortunately passed away recently on September 7th. And then like everyone to join me in a moment of silence. So Dr. Guy F. Barbato started as a biology teacher with us, and then was a principal in 1962 and then an assistant superintendent. He attended St. Benedict's Preparatory School in Newark, and then went on to achieve a BS, MS degrees from Seton Hall University. He began his career in education with the Union Township Board of Education, eventually progressed and got his PhD from Fordham University in New York, and his dissertation on science education is still cited today. His concern for the community and profession led him to eventually become principal and then assistant superintendent in Union. Throughout his career as an educator, he was a professor at Fordham, St. Peter's, Jersey City, and then after retirement, he went on to work for the New Jersey Department of Education. If everyone could join me in a moment of silence for Dr. Guy F. Barbarito. Thank you. So tonight, we're going to start with a presentation of our assessment. I'm going to just come around so while we're doing this. And then we have our student liaisons that will join us and share some information with us as well. So part of the requirements is that the districts have to present their student data once a year. So I'll be presenting tonight. So the 2022-23 summary results. What we're going to look at is a summary of the district's data, the New Jersey SLA proficiency results and subgroup analysis, the New Jersey GPA results and subgroup analysis, the Access and MLL's performance data, the DLM performance data, and our response to the data. So the first thing what we want to do is, as we gather all this data, we want to start looking at and noticing the trends, what's going on. So to start, the New Jersey Student Learning Assessments, the New Jersey SLA, proficiency percentages increased in 2001 to 2002 school year to 2002-2003 school year in the following areas. ELA grades 4, 5, 7, and 9. Math grade 4, 5, 6, Algebra 1 and Geometry. And then science in grades 5 and 8. So we need to take a moment and give our teachers a pat on the back for the job well done. They improved proficiency at a rate in so many areas despite some of the challenges last school year, and some of them being that the teachers were having to work a lot of additional classes, which is it's a huge impact. During the day, the stress level of the teachers, we had a much bigger shortage last year than we did this year to start the year, so I'm hoping that the teachers aren't asked in so many areas to have to cover so many classes. So with that, to still see percentages increasing, I think is a nice thing to say that we were able to perform. Even though we're recognizing through this data, we still have a lot of work to do, obviously, which
No, we'll fix it then. Use the hand, yeah, use the handheld one.
let's try this. Is that better? Yeah. So even with that, I want to recognize some of the things that we're seeing that we're improving, even though we know we still have a long way to go. So New Jersey SLA, total test takers, as you could see, 98% in ELA, 89% in math. The New Jersey graduation proficiency, the NJ GPA percentages. Now here, they increased from 2001, 2002 to 2002, 2003, again, in both ELA and math. And I would really like to highlight that in ELA, they're increasing over 45% from the previous year. It's another good accomplishment. But like we said, we still have a ways to go. Despite these increases, we recognize that there's still a lot of room for growth, and you'll see it throughout the presentation, particularly in math and science. I would like everyone to know the proficiency rates are at the lowest in the last several years. So we have room to grow. In all subjects, in both New Jersey SLA and New Jersey GPA, are multilingual learners, MLLs. They were ELLs, and now it's recognized as MLLs. And special education students continue to have the lowest levels of proficiency. And again, we will highlight that, and we got to come up with a focus on that of how we're going to improve. And in most subjects and grades, our growth year over year is comparable to the state overall. So when the state is growing, we're growing. When the state's declining, we're declining in a general. So next, we'll get into the learning assessments, the SLA for ELA and math. And as you see, it's grades 3 through 9, and then 3 through 9 geometry and algebra. So here, when you look at our scores, if you look at the green, in 18-19, before COVID, they were, some of our scores were at the highest that they've been. And then COVID comes, the pandemic, and you see then the next time we took it, 21-22, there was a decent decrease. So we noticed that. But then if you look at where we went in 22, 23, we increased in grades 4, 5, 7, and 9. So we're starting to a trend back upwards. We still saw a decrease in grades 3, 6, and 8. And now for math, same kind of thing where in 18, 19, before the district was getting a good growth in data in our proficiency. We were doing some good things, and then the pandemic hit. We saw a deep decline, and if you look at grades 3, 4, and 5, that was really a big percentage where it declined. So we're seeing that elementary specifically has been impacted the most. And I think you'll see in our agenda tonight, F21, the state just recently came out with a Learning Acceleration Program grant where it's focusing on primarily 3rd and 4th grade, where we're going to be utilizing that to hopefully impact some of these lower grades to help us. So next, the spring New Jersey SLA, again in science. As you see, from pre-pandemic, we did see a drop to 21, 22, and then we started to see an increase in 5th and 8th grade. Obviously, grade 11 is a focus point for us that is still declining. So now the subgroup data for the New Jersey SLA. So if you look here at the subgroup in 22, 23, there's not much discrepancy between the subgroups besides the Asian population. For the most part, they're scoring similarly. So if you look at the trends, I mean, obviously, they're not identical, but we're looking at the scores in the, we're seeing the same thing amongst all populations, which is telling us that we need to improve everywhere. Like we said in the beginning of the year, all of our students need help. So we need good instruction all around. And you could see the same thing for math at the bottom.
Can you go back one more?
Oh, sure.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So next it'll break down male and female. And as you see, they're, again, similar in scoring. The trends for each group are kind of similar, where they're going up and in the green. And then if you compare the male and female, it's kind of pretty similar where it's dropping in each, whether it's not meeting to partially meeting to approaching. So it's very similar what we're seeing between females and males. Now it's it's breaking down the subgroups, and if right here you see, which we mentioned earlier in the beginning, our ELL, which now MLL and special ed, are the ones that really struggled. So we got to make that a focus and really look at ways to improve there. But I want to make sure everyone is aware that it's been consistently that way for many years. So we're going to try to make that difference moving forward with some of the things that we're doing. So here you look at science, and science, fairly new test, started in 2018. Obviously, we still have ways to go, and we need to make it a focus area. We did mention earlier that the tested area at the high school showed that decline area. And if you see here, it's the same thing we just highlighted, the ELL and the special ed. Again, you'll see that instead of it trending up, it's trending down. So we got to make that a focus area in science as well. So now switching to the New Jersey GPA. This is a graduation proficiency. This is new, and it's for grade 11 ELA math, and it does impact graduation. Obviously, there's other, if somebody does not become proficient here, there's other avenues to end up graduating. So if you look at our ELA and math graduation rate from 21 to 22, ELA jumped from 32 to 77%, which is a big increase. In math, we went from 37 to 39. Again, ELA is consistent with the state. The state had a big jump as well. In math, it's got to be a focus area. The state average, we're below it in math in 22-23. It's around 50%. So again, there's some work we're recognizing that we need to focus on in the math area of that. So the subgroup for New Jersey GPA, if you look at this, I want to just recognize that it's very similar to the New Jersey SLA data as far as the discrepancy with the way these are broken out. We saw that in SLA that the Asian population had that highest increase, and it's very much comparable to the SLA data where in the subgroups for the rest of the subgroups. So it's a good mirror between the two. So here we are by male, female. If you see here, the females did have a little bit of a higher jump compared to the males, so they were a little more proficient. And then in the subgroups, we do recognize again, it is consistent with the New Jersey SLA, where the ELL and special ed had that decline. So again, we're seeing that correlation between the two. So the next is we have to report on access for the MLLs. And here it's a 6 level where you could be entering, and then you're going through to bridging or reaching, where you're hopefully exiting out because you don't need the services anymore. And if you could see based on the grade level, you have K to 5, 6 to 8, 9 to 12, and all grades. We're obviously required to do this. Most are developing. So if you look at that 3, 4, 3 is really where people are at, where we're hoping to shift them to expanding and then eventually exiting them out because they reach that level. So next for students, special ed students, the dynamic learning map is another way when they're not sitting for or taking the SLA. So it's for our more severe disabled students. It's not that many, but you could see these are percentages, so it doesn't tell you the exact number. But I could tell you not many have to go through the DLM process. A lot of them are sitting for the New Jersey, the SLA. But you could see where, based on the grade levels, the emergent who's becoming advanced. And again, that you could highlight grade 6 and grade 11. So with all this data, obviously, we got to talk about what are the next steps in interventions. It's good to have all this data, but the most important thing is what are we going to be doing? So with that, when we talk about what we're going to be doing, we're going to focus on 3 questions. All right, the first one is, how can we continue to learn from our data? All right, we're getting more and more data. We want to make sure we're learning from it and getting better. So with that, the curriculum and instruction team, along with all our administrators, on down to our teaching staff, we're going to be utilizing this data to make sure that things are easier for our educators to work on specific areas that students need to improve. And we'll go into a sample of that. But if you look at, administrators will be working with the PLCs to help better assess, analyze, and use available district school and classroom data. We're continuing to build on the utilization of Linkit to help us analyze and communicate data, especially through the use of fingertip reports, and that's what I'm going to share with you in a minute. We are encouraging staff to use the summarized evidence statement reports to inform their SGOs. We are encouraging staff departments, buildings, and work collaboratively on SGOs planning and assessments. And we are monitoring student learning using benchmarks in the fall, winter, and spring to help us target instruction based on areas of need. And you'll see, based on the school levels, the subject areas and the programs we're using right now. Again, we're trying to get data or evidence to then decide what programs are working best. We do see, some positive things within different programs. IXL is kind of new for us, so we're going to be analyzing that. And then as well as Linkit, we're really using that more, and that's somewhat new for us. So we're going to be utilizing these reports, and if you see at the next one, this is a sample of the fingertip report. So this is taking everything so the educators have it at their fingertips to know where the student is, know what areas they could work on with the students, especially when they're maybe tiering lessons, breaking out in groups. So we can make sure that we're focusing on the right area when we're looking to provide interventions and improve. Part of the New Jersey SLA, there's charts that show skills and standards, and we're bringing those to the PLCs so we could really identify what skills that the students are lacking. And then we're also sharing it with the administrators as well. Again, the teachers will have this to be able to utilize within their classes. And like I said earlier, different software platforms we're using give us different things. Right now, we're identifying that iReady is strongly correlated to New Jersey state testing. So we're seeing the same thing within our when the kids are going through iReady, we're seeing the same deficiencies that they're coming up on the state assessments. So the second part of this is how do we increase achievement? So now we have all this data. How are we going to use it to get better? The common PLC times have been established, K through 12, to support cross-building collaboration. We're focusing on our PD on a high-effect instructional strategies and content practices. We will focus on developing better understanding for fluency in K through 8. As everyone heard, or hopefully heard, one of the things to open up the year, as we talked about, is making sure we're focusing on literacy. As you see there, we're explicitly focusing on explicit phonics instruction, science and reading, K to 2. We are piloting ELA programs rooted in SOR in K to 5 ELA with a goal of September 2024 adoption. During the year, we want to pilot different programs. Board approve a program in the back end of the year, provide support so we get it going to start September 2024, something that's been needed in our district for a long time, where we'll provide teachers with training, developing assessments, and requiring reasoning and analysis and application. This year, we've adopted a K to 2 science program that focuses on scientific and engineering practices. We plan to rewrite K to 8 science curriculum, along with other curriculum we're going to be focusing on. We will provide science staff with specific PD focused on using science and engineering practices to explain scientific phenomena. Now, as you see, our science scores did need a lot of improvement. That's why you're seeing a lot of things touching on science here.
We'll provide elementary staff with PD focus to better understand science and math content. And then finally, we're going to be using the WIDA fingertip report to help differentiate for the MLL students based on their language readiness and their can-dos. And here's an example of that. So it really helps the teachers understand where that child's at in listening and reading. And if you see, if it's a 3.2, it's in that developing stage. So it really tells the teacher where that child's at, what skills they'll be able to do versus not. By looking at this report, the teacher could get a better understanding where the students are at and what they could expect of them. And then we could utilize that to, again, keep having the students improve. So the last part of this is, how do we support our students who are struggling? We saw that in a lot of those diagrams, we have a very big number of students in the middle, but we do have students obviously lower as well. And there's a number of ways that we could provide specific support for our students, including but not limited to. We're going to be doing intervention periods, and because they're built in the schedule now. When before we were trying to find time to do the interventions. Now building them into the schedules, it's going to provide a lot more opportunity for us to do that in K through 4. And it's every day. Administrators will be working with the staff on leveraging the time effectively. We will work to better utilize our resources to differentiate instruction for students in classrooms during interventions. We have those fingertip reports that will also help us be able to identify those needs. We intend to participate in upcoming rapid learning acceleration professional development program when it's released. We are participating, like I mentioned earlier, with a specific focus on grades 3 and 4 on that New Jersey high impact tutoring program. It will end up benefiting 3 through 12, but the focus for the grant is on 3 and 4. But the way we are approaching the grant is we wanted to be able to provide a little bit for everyone. So all students from 3 to 12 will have access to get tutoring anytime they need it. And then we're going to set up the 3rd and 4th graders with more direct instruction, really direct impact tutoring. We will be providing targeted instruction in phonics for special ed students. We're working on to reevaluate and make changes in our INRS process. Obviously, this is something that was highlighted last year through Dr. Perez and her team and audits that we need to work on making sure our INRS process is consistent throughout our district, and we're really utilizing it the way we should. We're awaiting the final draft of the special ed audit, and upon that, we will look at what actions we need to take. We did meet with that audit, and the person that did it, there needed to be some updates, and a final draft will be coming out shortly. So before thank you, but before we do that, does the CNI team, Dr. Perez or her team, want to share anything deeper with this, or we good? This will all be up on the website tomorrow. It'll be posted on our under our main Township of Union page. Under Board of Ed, it usually goes under presentations, like under Superintendent's report. And if you need, I could email you a copy. Just email me, and I'll forward it to you. Okay? So thank you. Dr. Perez, anything?
No, you pretty much highlighted the work that we started last year and are continuing this year. And we certainly understand the concerns and the gaps that exist, but we are working very diligent in terms of looking at what the gaps are, how can we address them, how can we better collaborate with all the stakeholders so that way there is not just buy-in, but there is that true collaboration and problem solving in place.
So before I introduce Nisa and Gia, I would just like to let everyone know Oh, I'm sorry, questions, I apologize.
Can we ask questions or no?
Absolutely, I apologize.
So, to me, this is like sometimes one of the most challenging board meetings, particularly when you look at this data. I will say that I myself have also analyzed the data, and I do know that in the state of New Jersey, students overall did not do too well, particularly in mathematics. 7th, 8th grade, Algebra 1. I believe the 8th grade scores were 27% proficient at the state level. So we have some work to do as a state, and I really had to challenge myself to think, is it the students with the COVID loss, is it the teaching quality, or is it the test, or a combination of all? I do appreciate the attention that has been given to some of the listing the initiatives that we saw, but there were some members missing, and I would be remiss if I don't bring it up. First of all, I did not see anything there in regards to empowering the parents and being partners in this endeavor. We cannot do it alone as educators, and I would like to see the district come up with some initiatives where workshops are facilitated for the parents on basic literacy skills, computational skills, because math and science are beautiful languages, but it is only about logic, analytical thinking. And believe it or not, the games that we used to play when we were little, the board games, showed us about computations and permutations. And now, one of the biggest challenges that we have before us is those word problems. And it has to do with literacy. There are a number of different resources that we can show the parents. The parents want to help, sometimes they don't know how. In addition to that, we cannot only just train the teachers and the individuals on the ground floor in the classrooms. If the admin does not get trained on understanding how to disaggregate and analyze data, they will not be able to support and guide our staff where they need to be. I have a couple of more. Access for L scores. Yes, and it's unfortunate, but it's not surprising, unfortunately, that our specialized populations do struggle. But the data doesn't tell us much if we don't know how long the children have been in the program. And the fact that our young females did better in ELA and the males did better in mathematics begs the simul question that we should really address that in unique ways. Is our reading material tailored to the males so that they can develop a joy for reading? And do we have sufficient programs where our young ladies do practice those math and science skills? I have a lot more, but I'm going to pass the floor in the interest of time.
I just have a couple of questions. Again, one of the next steps, Dr. Bonaquista, you mentioned was how can we continue to learn from our data? And I think we're moving from not how to but what at that particular time. Is what does the data tell us so we can what does the data tell us so we can move our students? The how we know. You've given the assessment. It's not how, it's what. What is the data telling us so that therefore we could make instructional best decisions for the students who are sitting in front of us? Also, you mentioned that support students who are struggling with the intervention periods. Can you just speak a little bit about what are we planning to do for 2022, 2023 in terms of interventions, in terms of what are you using for tier 2 and tier 3? So therefore we know and the parents have an idea of those kids who are getting those tier 2 and tier 3 interventions, what are we using for interventions? And you also talked about the science of reading, which again, I do agree. If we're gonna talk about the science of reading, everyone's need training on the science of reading, because I'm sure we have parents in the audience right now. You say SOR to them and they're like, what? You know, this term has just came up from 1991 when Scarborough invented the Scarborough's reading rope. And a lot of parents have no idea what that is because they don't live this world every day. So again, what training are we doing for the parents in terms of the science of reading? Also, you mentioned phonics. The data itself suggests that it's more than phonics. It is word recognition,
Decoding?
times language comprehension. That is what gives students comprehension. So there's no way that you're gonna solve this problem in this district if you just focus on phonics. That means you're only focusing on the lower half of the reading rope. And again, parents, I'm sorry, sometimes, I know a lot of us don't understand these terms, but if we just if we're just going to attack the lower half of the reading rope, you will never, our students will never get to true comprehension, because comprehension means that you have phonological awareness, you have decoded, you have phonics, you have verbal reasoning, vocabulary, background knowledge, and that's the only how you're going to get to true comprehension. And it is a woven rope. You can't get to one without the other. And they're interdependent on each other. So I just suggest that, I know we want to throw out these terms, science of reading, we're going to do science of reading and phonics, but we ourselves need true understanding of what science of reading is. And you cannot attack this problem that we have right now, which is not only here in Union, we have it also in my district, because everyone needs to learn how to read. That's the whole point. We need to teach students how to read. And you're not going to fix this problem with 25 fixing steps. You're really not. As a district, my suggestion is pick 3 things. And pick 3 things that we want to do really well for the 2023-2024 school year. And if that is MTSS, then that's what you do. And if that means that you're going to attack our Tier 2 and our Tier 3 students, because that's where this data is living right now, that's what you do. If you're going to attack 25 PLCs, I'm gonna sit there, I'm gonna listen, it's gonna go here and it's gonna go there. Trust and believe it. I was a teacher for 17 years, trust and believe it, that's what's going to happen. So my suggestion is we need to and my other question is, Dr. Benaquista, how will the principals of these buildings own the data? Because it's not gonna move again in itself if it lives here and it lives on the website. What is the plans for the principals to own the data? Because again, we can break it down by school buildings and we can say Livingston, Hannah Colwell, this is the percentage of blacks, whites, Asian, whatever you want, whatever categories you want to put. But how are they going to own that data? Because if there is no accountability in that particular building for that data, we will not move, and next year you'll have the same conversation here. So those are just my concerns.
I have one more. And this is not necessarily for them, but for the parents that are listening tonight, we in education, we do need your help. You don't know how powerful you are. I see children with the nice sneakers, and we get them all these technological gadgets. Go back to the basics. And for Christmas, make a vow to buy them a book along with those gifts. Play those board games, because they do address mathematical processes, all right? And just please invite literacy into your homes. If they see you reading, they may talk about it, but they will emulate at some point. Thank you.
I will be off the board in December, so if anybody wants training in the science of reading, we will volunteer from New York to come over here and do some training in the science of reading. So we will definitely do that for this district. 1 year, 1 day, we will definitely do that.
I don't have all those notes. All I want to do is to thank Dr. Benaquista, Dr. Perez, and your team for putting this presentation together for us to give us an idea of what's going on. Thank you.
Great. What's that? No, thank you, and obviously, like we said in the beginning, we highlighted some things, but we do have a lot of work to do. And I like that it was noted that the entire state, really, all students are struggling. I do want to say that this is the first time, I think, in a lot of years, and with the support of the board, we're really doing things different. We're really analyzing that data, and we're going to provide it and use it to benefit students. We're only at the forefront of, I think, doing things different and what we need to do to make a difference in the next few years with our students. And I see that group in the middle that's on the cusp of swinging to proficient. And I definitely think we could get there. When we start doing the right stuff on a daily basis, embedded in the daily schedule, never done before, we bring in research-based programs that are good for our kids and that's going to meet the needs of our kids. And again, this was a synopsis. In there, we mentioned some of the things, but not limited to that. We're going to be doing a lot of things, and there's a lot of work ahead of us. I wasn't sugarcoating anything. We have a lot of work to do. I said it from the beginning of the year. It's a focus, and we're going to get there. We need consistency. We need time to bring something in to start next year, and we ain't looking back. So I guarantee in a couple of years you're going to see a difference in our scores, because this is where our students are at with none of that being done before. So I as much as it needs a lot of improvement, I see where we could go. And again, once we put everything together, we have some great educators in this district. We have some administrators that are really good at motivating and supporting, but we need to now get everyone together and not look back and focus on what we need. So it's not a one-thing answer, it's everything. And what you guys shared is heard, and we're going to keep moving forward on making sure all our students get what they need, but also thank you for making sure that the parents heard, yes, we cannot improve this district without parent involvement. So you should always, and I spoke at a couple meetings earlier this year, that you should never be satisfied with the performance of your child. You should be pushing and getting what you need from those classes. So if your child's coming home struggling, I always try to tell the kids to be advocates of themselves, but sometimes as a parent we need to step in and foster a meeting with guidance, with the teacher, with the administrators, get everyone on board saying, I'm going to keep coming. My child needs, this support or extra help, and don't stop. We do need that. So at this point, I would just like to mention that for the harassment, intimidation, bullying, from September 12th to September 19th, there was no incidents, none found, none reported. So at this point, I would like our Nisa and Gia to give a short presentation, our student leaders, on what they saw to start the year. And we're going to be working together all year to bring a student voice to the Board of Ed. Do you want this?
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for listening to our presentation. My name is Nisa Filius, and
my name is Gia Patel, and we just decided that we should create a presentation to show you guys all of the both academic and recreational achievements that Union High has. Okay. So starting off with clubs, UHS takes a lot of pride in its diverse range of after-school activities and extracurricular clubs. One of my personal favorites was the Asian Student Alliance Club, which was established in June of 2022. We formed its council from the 2022 to 23 school year, and as the club's publicist, I had the privilege of collaborating with my peers to organize engaging activities and meetings. We had a lot of successful snack sales in February, raised funds for the club, and we ended up making several donations towards the Stop Asian Hate organization. Do you want to speak on the Roots Black
To discuss issues for the Roots Black Excellence Club, issues are critical in our communities and a very safe space for African American students to express identity, race, gender, and ethnicity. It's a club that dedicates to making all students feel welcome and that their voices are heard.
Okay, last year the men's and women's empowerment clubs had achieved significant milestones. Both clubs successfully directed last year's Mr. UHS and Miss UHS beauty pageants and will continue to do that this year. The Key Club has already participated in over 60 community service events and completed over 1,300 hours of service last year. And finally, Union High School Student Council, in collaboration with dedicated advisors, played a pivotal role in organizing memorable events such as the Fall Pep Rally, a student-led fashion show, and the all-girls junior versus seniors powder puff game.
Okay, one of the programs we want to highlight today is the UHS dance team that they haven't come to mess around. The girls have been training since July and have amazing talent. Watching them perform, you can tell that they love the sport, and stay tuned for more performances. We want to hear from one of our teachers that teaches cosmetology at our school. Miss T is a proud member of Union High School. She's a product of the school district. She roles in future professionals, enrolled in cosmetology program at Union High School, and at the end of completing this program, they get licensed while in high school.
Okay, so just to discuss the sports highlights from the 2022 season. 4 seniors on the boys 4x400 team won the 4x400 Union County Relays in spring track. 3 seniors from the same team became Union County champions in the sprint medley relay. The girls 4x400 team won the Union County championship in the 4x400. The boys 4x400 team won the Section 2 Group 4 state championships. And in addition to these accomplishments, our UHS golf team will be participating in the Union County's conference First Girls Golf Open. And this year we have introduced a Girls Union County Golf Tournament to our golfers that qualify for it. And lastly, the girls tennis season has had a season of 13 wins to 6 losses.
The sports for the 2023 season so far, the UHS football team has had 3 wins and 1 loss. The girls soccer team has had 1 win, 1 loss, and 1 tie. And the boys soccer team had 4 wins and 1 tie. And please come and check out the boys football game this Friday.
That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, and that concludes the superintendent's report, Madam President.
Difficulties over here. Oh, thank you.
Thank you very much to our student reps for that wonderful impromptu. Very well put together. Very proud of you girls. Next, we will have the Education and Student Discipline Committee. Ms. Carbonell.
Yes, nice job, ladies. Upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, the Education Student Discipline Committee presents the following resolutions for the board's consideration. E11, Superintendent's Report of HIB. E2A, approve homeschool student to participate in the athletic program. E2B, approve homeschool students to participate in the athletic program. And E3, approve curriculum.
Second.
Discussion? We have a roll call?
Mrs. Brins Watson?
Yes.
Ms. Carbonell?
Yes.
Mrs. Manisi?
Yes.
Mr. O'Shea?
Yes.
Mrs. Regis Darby?
Abstain from E3, yes to everything else.
Ms. Santana?
Yes.
Mrs. Scott Hayden?
Yes.
Ms. McKenzie?
Yes. Next, we will have fiscal and planning, Mr. O'Shea.
Madam President, thank you. Can you guys hear me with this microphone or not?
Yes.
Yes.
'Cause I got a big mouth, 'cause I really don't need it, but just want to make sure. Okay, upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, the Fiscal and Planning Committee presents the following resolutions for the board's consideration. I will go through the entire list, instead of reading each one individually. Approve, motions F1 through F34. F7 has already been voted on and approved at the last board's workshop, and F33 is advisement for the board, and there's no vote need to be taken.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion? Ms. Regis Darby?
Yes, just F22A, F22B, and F24. F22A and F22B, there was no particular backup, so just be mindful when you're making your votes. And F24, $64,000, and I have no idea what that is for.
Ms. Coon, can you answer F24? The question was, she didn't know what this F24 was for, the $64,000.
Dr. Perez.
Dr. Perez?
F24 is addressing, is actually for professional development, not just for our instructional staff, but also for our instructional leaders. And it covers not just best practices, but specifically data-driven decision-making, where they're going to be looking at the data from the fingertip reports that Dr. Benaquista reported earlier, as well as making sure that they understand how to look at data, how to turnkey it to their staff, so that when PLCs are taking place, there are decisions being made in terms of classroom instruction and how it is that they need to move their students forward as it relates to what we're working on with Dr. Severance.
Thank you.
Any other questions? May I have a roll call?
Mrs. Burns Watson?
Yes to everything, abstain from F22A, F22B, until such time when we have backup.
Ms. Carbonell?
Yes.
Mrs. Manisi?
Yes.
Mr. O'Shea?
Yes.
Mrs. Regis Darby?
Abstain from F22B, F23, and everything else, yes.
Ms. Santana?
Yes.
Mrs. Scott Hayden?
Yes.
Ms. McKenzie?
Yes.
And Madam President, under the Fs, F26, we're recognizing some organizations that, really helped us with Ms. Conti and Special Services. Ms. Conti, do you want to come up? And Madam President and myself will meet you, and you could kind of just highlight some of the people that really helped us.
Okay, can't see with the glasses, can't see without. Let's try. Well, I'm very proud tonight to be presenting these recognitions. So I would like to give you some background on the recognitions. Over the years, the Union Plaza Diner generously hosted 2 events for district students. I can remember these events taking place since I became an administrator in this district about 17 years ago, so you can tell how long they have been doing this. One event was a holiday breakfast at the diner, the Union Plaza Diner at the time. It's now the Union Diner on Route 22. And not only were food, supplies, and staff donated, but large sections of the dining areas were closed to patrons and reserved for the students for an entire morning, which I am sure is a very busy time for the diner. The event was looked forward to by students, staff, and families. The Marines would attend, donate toys, and Santa would arrive by fire truck. Additionally, and currently in the spring, the diner hosts a picnic that takes place in one of the township parks. Last year it was at Rapkin Park. Food, music, and good times were had by all. Eventually, Union Plaza Diner, as I mentioned, became Union Diner, and Teddy Stampolis joined as managing partner. We thank AJO for his many years of support and Teddy Stampolis for last year's festivities. And we would like to extend our gratitude to you for your contributions and positive impact on our district community. Thank you. Come on up. Thank you. Thanks so much. We appreciate everything, and it's a wonderful event. Thanks for coming out.
I learned a lot. I got an education here tonight.
Thank you. Take care. Thanks again. We'll be talking. We do have others. I had two other guests, but they had to leave. But I'll go on because they're all very important, whether they're here with us or listening from afar. For this day, to be a success, both the picnic or the breakfast, it takes a community. And what is an event without music? So we would like to recognize and thank Julian Butrego for his DJ services. He donated his services and equipment and made smiles and a fun event for all. And he had indicated to us he is just pleased to see everyone have a good time. So we appreciate you, Julian Butrego. He is not here this evening, so we'll go on to our next. We value our relationship with the Township of Union Recreation Department. They are integral to this event. They provide park permits, recreation equipment, and they even are present to provide support to students and staff. Thank you, a big thank you to John Moretti, Assistant Superintendent of Recreation, and Suzanne Cobell, Recreation Clerk. And again, they couldn't attend tonight, but we did talk to them at length today on the phone. Another community partner who we are grateful for and value our relationship with is the Township of Union Police Department. They provide support to us in many ways. For the event, they provide monitoring and keep everyone safe. Thank you to our amazing Union Police, and who were here tonight but had to leave to represent were officers Bobby Honeymar and Antoine Colbert. So thank you. You can't do it without everyone. Thank you both, too.
Thank you, Ms. Conlon.
Oh, can I say one more thing? I do want to thank the staff. In closing, as you can see, community partnerships are key to a district's success, along with the staff who deserve praise. I did want to make a mention, transportation, building staff who volunteer their time, Joseph Seigling, supervisor, and Lori Saunders, physical therapist, who coordinate this event and certainly have reached out to all our community partners, and it takes a tremendous amount of time. And thank you again.
Thank you, Ms. Conti. Okay, next we have grievance and negotiations. Item G1, approve memorandum of understanding, UTTA. Approve resolution approving memorandum of understanding between the Union Township Transportation Association and the Township of Union Board of Education for the contract term of July 1st, 2023 through August 31st, 2027, in accordance with the information in the hands of each board member. May I have a second?
Second.
Discussion? May I have a roll? Yeah, I said discussion. Roll call.
Mrs. Brins Watson?
Yes.
Ms. Carbonell?
Yes.
Mrs. Manisi?
Yes.
Mr. O'Shea?
Yes.
Mrs. Regis Darby?
Yes.
Ms. Santana?
Yes.
Mrs. Scott Heeden?
Yes.
Ms. McKenzie?
Yes. Next, we have the Operations Committee Chair, Ms. Santana.
Upon recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, the Operations Committee presents the following resolution for the board's consideration. 01, we're approving the security drill bus evacuation reports. 02, approve submission of anticipated facility requests. 03, we're approving requests from the Township of Union Recreation Department.
Second.
Discussion.
Yes.
Yes.
So if no one has a discussion specifically on the three agenda items, I did just want to make a statement. Under operations, sometimes it's not as cool as the other committees, but one thing that is very near and dear to my heart is school lunch, right? I am that person in charge of making sure that our school lunch is paid or at a reasonable amount. It sits on these shoulders. I received an article this afternoon in reference to a New Jersey school district where what they are doing is if the child has a balance, they're giving them a cheese sandwich or peanut butter and grapes or something to that nature. And if they're older, they don't get any breakfast at all. They just get like this basic lunch, it's called. And one of the things, it just sickened me, where we are not feeding our children. Not Union, but this district that I read about, and I invite you to Google it, you'll find it. And one of the commitments that I make, and I know that everybody that sits at this board, that no matter what happens on that end of operations, our children get everything that they need as far as a school lunch and a breakfast. Every day, I will fight for that. It will not stop, no matter what the balance is on the other end. So that's something that I just wanted to say as far as operations that kind of does, falls under it, and I wanted to say it. Thank you.
Any other discussion?
May I piggyback on that a little
Thank you.
bit? So with that being said, so I would like to encourage any parent that has, their child has a balance to, reach out to the school.
Yeah.
Because we have a pretty severe debt for unpaid lunches. And if you haven't filled out the free and reduced form, to please do that, because you never know, you might qualify. So that's another thing that you should seriously do. I was at Hannah Caldwell's open house last week, and they did speak about, and they had students from the high school helping people on the computers to fill out the form. So I encourage everyone to fill out the form if you haven't done so, and also check on your if you have a balance, just check into that.
Thank you.
Any other discussion?
Mrs. Brins Watson?
Yes.
Ms. Carbonell?
Yes.
Mrs. Manisi?
Yes.
Mr. O'Shea? Yes. Mrs. Regis Darby?
Yes.
Ms. Santana?
Yes.
Mrs. Scott Heeden?
Yes.
Ms. McKenzie?
Yes. Next, we have personnel, Mrs. Scott Hayden.
Upon recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, the Personnel Committee presents the following resolution for the board's consideration. P1A, it was approved at the September 12th, 2023 work session, along with P1B and P1C. Then we have P1A-1 through P10.
Second?
I'm so sorry, I do have a question. And this is probably been addressed before, but I don't have an answer for it. Do we normally do exit interviews
Yes.
for
Right,
faculty and administrators?
Yes. There's some that take part in it. I am also creating a survey that could go out if they don't want to take part or do both as well. So we'll hopefully have that finished in the next week or so. I've been working on that. I just want to meet with some memberships to make sure that I'm hitting on everything. They also want to know why their members are leaving too, because sometimes,
I mean, this is disturbing
But-
in many ways. There are some, you know, resignations that are troubling, to say the least. And given some of our conversations around equity and inclusion in this district, I think we really need to get a handle on why some of our faculty and administrators are leaving this district, recognizing that it's not always about the money. But it's certainly something that hopefully you'll be able to get to the bottom of some of these things.
some of the ones, obviously, there's many different reasons. Some of the ones could be commuting. I've gotten that. Unfortunately, a lot of them do come back to, they can make a move for 15, 16, 20,000 more sometimes. Because depending on like our guide compared to their guide, our guide might be really good in the front end, but then when you get to year 15, 16, another district's, it's the top of their guide, where we're trying to get that to be a 15-step guide in our district over the years. It'll become that, but we need it to, we're going to have a long time to get there, unfortunately. But so then when they make a move to another district and at the top of the scale, they're, and in specific subjects.
Yeah, no,
So,
I get it.
but there's other things. I would be happy to start a conversation with personnel monthly on resignations that I go and speak to the person, and even if it's not specifics about the person, just reasons why. And that's something, Ms. Scott Hayden, we could talk about, maybe moving forward, personnel being aware as much as information I could get, and sharing that monthly.
Right.
It's a good idea.
I think, you know, one of the things that, I hate talking about the post-COVID world, but one of the things that it has taught us is that culture in the workplace is an enormous part of why, that's why I said it's not always about the money.
Exactly.
Right? So you could be offered this much, but if you are in an environment that is nurturing and welcoming and helps you develop, you know, sometimes you make that trade-off, right? So, you know, I like the idea of even having those anonymous, surveys, because people don't always know and they don't want to burn bridges, whatever it is that is happening in their lives. You know, we want to take that into account. But I think we ought to really take a closer look at, you know, not just, we know we're competing, right? We know, and we can't always compete with the salaries of other districts, obviously. But there's more to it than that.
And I think you bring up a good point. Sometimes the reason people look is because of the climate and culture of the environment they're living every day in, which then they discover that I can move to another district and make more money. So it is a very important topic to make sure that our buildings, for our staff and our students, is an environment that we would all want to work in on a daily basis. And it's little things sometimes that make a difference with staff. And it's something that I constantly strive to work with leadership to make sure I'm dealing with all the issues that do come up in a building. And it's not just that personal interaction, sometimes it's the buildings. And right now, we're looking at making sure our buildings, and we're doing everything we can. I would want to come into an environment that's clean, that's safe, that's, you know, obviously, we know in the past bathrooms were a big issue. You know, we can't tolerate that. A staff member should not have to come into this district and not have several bathrooms to choose from, or our students. So those are the things that, there's a lot of things that impact it, but it is a good thought to start highlighting reasons why, so then we could come up with plans to impact that. Thank you.
Any other discussion? May I have a roll call, please?
Mrs. Brins Watson?
Yes.
Ms. Carbonell?
Yes.
Mrs. Manisi?
Yes.
Mr. O'Shea?
Yes.
Mrs. Regis Darby?
Yes.
Ms. Santana?
Yes.
Mrs. Scott Hayden?
Yes.
Ms. McKenzie?
Yes. Williams is not here. Could you do policy?
Me? Oh, of course. Okay. Upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, the policy committee presents the following policy for the board's consideration. POL 1, agenda item approved, wait, it was done. At the September 12th, 2013 work session, Regulation 2464, gifted and talented students.
Thank you very
We're
much.
good.
All right, residency, Ms. Manisi.
Okay, so this doesn't require a vote either, but upon recommendation of the superintendent of schools, the residency committee presents the following resolution. So these students that are listed, they were found to be out-of-district residents, and when they were confronted, and they just voluntarily left the district. There was no real investigation or hearings, so to speak.
All right, technology.
Upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, the technology committee presents the following resolution for the board's consideration. T1, approved list of recycled equipment, approved list in accordance with the information in the hands of each board member.
Second.
Discussion? Mrs. Regis-Tarmy.
Just wanted to, please ask the technology department, I think we spoke at it at our last work session, if they can please, I encourage the technology department to please consider donating those recycled technology equipment to 2 schools in Africa who are in desperate need of technology. So if at your next committee meeting, I will ask the 2 schools, the leaders of those 2 schools, if they can join, if it's per your discretion, if they can join those committee meetings so they can formally ask the board to kind of please, if they can have those recyclable equipment to use in their particular school. So I would encourage the board to please consider doing that.
We have every intention of inviting Mrs. Regis-Darby to our next meeting, and that coupled with Mr. O'Shea's previous experience with this particular kind of project, hopefully we can get something together and done, because I think it's completely doable.
Sounds good. Any other discussion? May I have a roll call?
Mrs. Bryn Swatson,
Yes.
Ms. Carbonell,
Yes.
Mrs. Manisi,
Yes.
Mr. O'Shea,
Yes.
Mrs. Regis-Darby,
Yes.
Ms. Santana,
Yes.
Mrs. Scott Heeden,
Yes.
Ms. McKenzie.
Yes. May I have a motion to approve our bills list?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? No discussion. May I have a roll call?
Mrs. Bryn Swatson,
Yes.
Ms. Carbonell,
Yes.
Mrs. Manisi,
Yes.
Mr. O'Shea,
Yes.
Mrs.
Yes.
Regis-Darby, Ms. Santana,
Yes.
Mrs. Scott Heeden,
Yes.
Ms. McKenzie.
Yes. Is there any unfinished business?
Yes. Do we know if we ever hired a TV production teacher for the high school for this school year? We did, right?
He's over there.
I was wondering who that new guy was.
Say hello.
How are you?
Thank you.
Nice meeting you.
Thank you. Nice to meet you too.
Any other unfinished business? Any other unfinished business? Okay. Any new business? Ms. Anisi then.
Okay, like I said before, last week I went to Hannah Caldwell's open house. There was a very, very nice crowd there. They did a presentation on HIB. They did, Mr. Hoyt spoke, PTA president, very well received. Was very happy to be there.
Ms. Santana.
And just piggybacking off of Miss Manisi, so our back-to-school nights, Tuesday, September 19th, we have Franklin Elementary School. Wednesday, September 20th, we have Battle Hill Elementary School. Wednesday, September 20th, we also have Connecticut Farm Elementary School. Thursday, September 21st, our Union High School has their back-to-school night. Tuesday, September 26th is Burnett Middle School. Tuesday, September 26th is Kiwami Middle School. Wednesday, September 27th, we have Jefferson Elementary School. And Thursday, September 28th, we have Livingston Elementary School. And just excited to bring on this whole new year. We have a lot of work to do. But I'm just loving the energy of board members, admin, parents, having those questions, having those difficult conversations so that we can take it to the next level and just make Union the district that I know that it is. We have great children, parents, teachers, admins, board members, colleagues that are here to do the work and to just love on Union itself.
Thank you. Any other new business?
Yes. I would just want to give a shout out to the district staff and leadership for, I believe it's the first year that we're going to have the seal of biliteracy. If you know about learning languages, some of the research tells us that as you know more languages, you develop what is called cognitive flexibility. There's also something called language transferability theory, where the things that we know in one language, we can certainly apply to a new one. And in a highly diverse town and student population, where we have youngsters that speak in families, Spanish, Haitian Creole, I believe it's Igbo, Arabic, Portuguese, and many other languages. I'm really excited with this initiative where the students are going to not only be able to demonstrate their proficiency, but we will, as a community, celebrate our, not only our cultural diversity, but also our linguistic diversity. So, nice job.
Ms. Kaheen.
Just to piggyback off of my colleagues, and also speaking about taking into great consideration about what Ms. Burns Watson stated about our staff members, knowing that they definitely have the opportunity to work in any other town. We have some great educators before us, both our certificated staff as well as our non-certificated staff. It is a fishing pool right now. They definitely can go anywhere else and be anywhere else. So I want to say first thank you to our staff here in the district for returning to the 2023-24 school year and taking on the onus of educating our students. You are appreciated. Our students, I want to say to you, welcome back. We're wishing you a great and successful school year. And to my fellow board colleagues and administration in this district and the community as a whole, I want to say we look forward to working with you, whether right, wrong, or indifferent. I know we have a lot of work to do. So when you come out and we see our parents and our stakeholders in this room, please note that we are not insulted when you come to the microphone and you're speaking against something or you're passionate about something. We are listening. That's what we're here for. I got thick skin. I think my board colleagues, most of them have thick skin. So otherwise, we wouldn't be in a servant position. So I want to invite more parents and more community out to work with us and work alongside us so that we can build even stronger and greater public schools here in the Township of Union. So thank you, and I look forward to working with you.
And I just want to piggyback off of what Ms. Scott Hayden said. We are absolutely here to serve, and we are listening. And I hope that you notice that we are listening and we are trying to make a difference here. We do sincerely care about everyone here, the families, the community as a whole. We do, and we hear you, and we don't get offended. So please give us feedback, because sometimes if you don't tell us, we won't know. And that's what we're working on here. So thank you. Thank you to my board colleagues. Any other comments?
You're welcome.
Okay. Comments from the public?
David Armenia, Woodland Avenue. And I agree with you 100% about give our children books. And starting with that, the summer reading program at the library was a success. From children's grades K through 5, there were 369 children who participated, and the teens grades 7 through 12, 133, and there were even 307 adults who signed up. Grand total of 809 participants, and they had to read a minimum of 9 hours over the summer, and many of them read a lot more. And the grand prizes this year, on the kids' age group, they won an annual membership to Liberty Science Center, and the teens level, they won a streaming service subscription, like to Netflix or Hulu, whatever they wanted to get. And for the adults, they got a Kindle Fire tablet. And we'd like to thank the sponsors who helped fund the summer reading program: Northfield Bank, PCB Bank, Cold Stone Creamery, and the Friends of the Union Public Library. And with that, the girls mentioned it, this Friday, Union plays Somerville right here at Cook Memorial Field. So I hope everyone's there to come watch the team go to 4-1. This Sunday is the Mayor's Day 5K, and there's a record number of runners this year, and I hope that there's no rain. They're supporting 2 Union children who are battling cancer. The Rotary Club will be having a toy drive, or it's right in the middle of a toy drive for patients at Children's Specialized Hospital, which is right here in Union. And last year, the Union High School Interact Club joined with Rotary, and over 1,000 pairs of socks were collected for the YMCA shelter in Union. And they're going to be doing it again this year, if you didn't know. The Good Citizen Student Awards is coming again through the Rotary Club. Last year it was an unbelievable successful program, and we're running it again this year, and thanks to the Rotary Club. And the Historical Society, don't forget, the 250th is coming. And finally, thank you to your interim superintendent. We'll be meeting with him. We've met with the town already. We'll meet with the school board and the UTEA and collaborate and find out and plan something for the 250th anniversary. And the September 27th, coming up very soon, is Ice Cream Day at Cold Stone Creamery. He is going to donate 25% of the whole day's income to the library for literacy. So if you like ice cream, go there and get some on the 27th. And that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's Vermella. I don't care who goes.
Hi, how are you? A lot of times I come here with concerns, and I thank you all so much for always listening, and I truly know and feel that you're listening. But today I'm really...
Name and address, miss?
Oh, I'm sorry. Wood Acres Drive. I should know that.
The address.
Mountainside.
We need the name.
1470. What?
The name.
Oh, Kathy Jackasitz. Okay. But today I wanted to come here to express my gratitude. I have to say, now Dr. Benaquista, congratulations. I did not know Jerry Benaquista at all until prior to COVID. And just from that time on, I have never come here to say thank you so much to someone. His workings when he was assistant superintendent and when he was the interim once before, when we were doing with COVID, there's a number of us who did not have the COVID shots, and a lot of people didn't want to deal with us people at that point, and we were very adamant about not using the nasal swab when using the saliva test. And I have to say thank you so much to Jerry Benaquista, because he was an integral part of having that happen, along with some other groups. He took our opinions, every single email he replied to, every single time we asked for a meeting, he said absolutely, and he was the one who actually took care of the program, got everything together, organized it, sent it out. We had to return it back to him. I don't know if you all know what goes on behind the scenes, and it was a massive amount of work, and I cannot thank you enough for that. Also, with the opening of school during COVID, he did it alone at that point, in that he didn't have a superintendent, assistant superintendent. He was running it alone, and it went seamlessly as much as it could for that time span. I know not everybody was here, and it was a huge plus to get back to school. And I think the scores would have been lower if we weren't back to school. So again, I thank you so much for that. This year, again, he opened up the schools. It was done beautifully. The keynote speaker was amazing. I don't know who put that one together. She was fascinating. I've taken many things from her as well. And again, I just want to put credit where credit is due, and I want to thank you so much for everything that you do for the teachers. I truly appreciate it. And since I'm saying thank you, I have to put a shout out to Kwame and our administrators. It is probably one of the schools with the highest retention rate, I would imagine, because our administrators there truly make you feel like family. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Mrs. J.
Lori Montoya, 1956 Oswald Terrace.
I have a senior at Union High School and have been at that school since September 2020. She's a COVID freshman, so if you know, you know. Her experience at the high school has been one for the books, but I have seen her grow at the high school these past 4 years, and I have to say she has done well. These past 2 years, I experienced clear communication from our principal, Ms. Bossard. Yes, you heard right, our principal. Because even though she is interim on paper, she has taken on the responsibility and role of principal, leading with passion, authority, and a loving and giving heart, not only to the staff, but those around her, like the students and families. So my next question is, when will she become our permanent principal? What would it take for her to be permanent on the UHS staff?
Thank you.
Luisa Baez, 591 Duquesne Towers. Welcome back to 2023-2024. So I wanted to share something with you that over dinner the other night, my 11th grader and now 9th grader, who now I have 2 students at Union High School, we're talking about Union High School. My 11th grader says to my 9th grader, "You will never know the freshman experience, the freshman year experience I had. The lack of structure, accountability, complete chaos I experienced as a freshman. Those days are over." I was so happy to hear that. You remember, our principal now, Ms. Bossard, won't put up with that and has support. But I'd like to bring to your attention that the high school administration changes started last year with Ms. Bossard being the interim principal, with the VP teams for each grade level, intricate part of a team, right? Team collaboration. It was, what are we okay, I lost my train. What are we waiting for to take the interim off of her position and give her the position as principal? She has been leading our students into a safe environment with accountability. I'm not saying it's perfect. We have work to do. Clearly, by those scores, we know we have work to do. But children do better when there is a safe environment. Accountability, structure, we need that. We need to continue that. We are heading in the right direction. We need to make her position permanent. We can't afford to lose her. She is part of the solution. There's a lot of parts to the solution. Which leads me to Dr. Smalls. His resignation came as a shock to me. And we lost him to claims that admins of color are being discriminated against. Yes, I said it. I am ashamed to say that Union as a district of such diversity has racial inequality. We need the results of the district equity survey to see what are the issues what is going on, what is this happening? We haven't received those results. I will continue to hold you, the Board of Education, accountable for the changes that we need. We must do better for children and staff.
Thank you.
Hi, Michelle Zada at 1523 Brookside Drive. I'm a new mom. I have a kindergartner, and I just wanted to say that my daughter, Azure Ahern, was part of the pilot program in the 3K. So I feel incredibly privileged that she was one of the 30 kids that got to go 2 years ago. And last year she experienced her 4K at Livingston, and she's at Livingston right now. I'm coming to talk about a few things about parents and the school district and communication. I'm not from New Jersey, so New Jersey has their own way of doing things. And I'm from PA. I think being as a new parent and the communication with the school, I think I would like, and I'm kind of representing other parents too that aren't here. I'm just gonna say, having meetings at 10 till 10 isn't conducive to other parents being involved into the school system. And I don't know if we can change that or have like the comments be in the before, but I haven't eaten anything for dinner. So I think more parents would be involved if they didn't know that like a meeting was gonna be happening at 10 till 10 at night. I'm coming, I wanted to talk about communication with, placements with students and teachers. I know that a letter was sent out on August 28th, and then I didn't receive it until that Thursday as to the placement for where my daughter was. But that's like a week away from when school's supposed to start, where I know like other school districts, it's like 3 weeks away. And I think there is like, I don't know if there's a restriction as to when like teachers can communicate, but I think, a letter or an email to new parents letting them know, hey, we acknowledge you and you're gonna be hearing from your teacher at this time and you can check out Genius would be really beneficial instead of waiting for like a week, particularly because it's coming on Labor Day and a lot of people have gone away on that. Is there, what is the policy of like communication with that? I know our teacher was a new kindergarten teacher and she had just started the day before, so she didn't get a lot of prep work. But I think hearing before, knowing that our kids have the placement for that, and also with the school list too, is that I wasn't aware that there was a school list. If there's like a couple weeks out, that could be given, so we could take advantage of New Jersey's free taxes supplies, because it's like halfway through when the program of no taxes on that.
Excuse me, can you finish your comment?
Sure. So, well, I had a few more things. Half days in the school district, I chose to live in Union because of diversity, and I think a lot of parents both parents work here. And there's a lot of half days here, and the half days, they shut down the school, and then there's no aftercare program. So like, there's like 6 in January, like half days, and then June half days. Like, I don't have family around here. So having those schools open or consolidating that, because I know looking at the stats and everything that the elementary schools have been particularly affected by COVID and test scores have gone down, having so many half days and not any resources for parents to, what are they gonna do with their kids, that are like 5 or 6? We're all like talking amongst ourselves for that in regards to that. So I'm really looking forward to also seeing from top down what is actually being implemented for, the test scores of the elementary schools, like how that's going to be improved. I mean, there was a lot of jargon coming from a new parent. That wasn't really digestible.
You've used up more than your time.
Okay.
I would suggest if you have any other thoughts, you can send Jerry, Dr. Benaquista, an email.
Okay.
Or leave me your number and I'll get in touch with you tomorrow.
Okay. But just, not 10 till 10 at night.
Thank you. Thank you.
May I make a comment? I'm sorry. So, hi. My name is Chastity Santana. I was you many, many years ago. And I just want to say that I hear you. Please keep coming. This is exactly what it is. And you might be here in 10 years. But thank you so much.
I do work at a university, so I'm part of education too, so I feel you guys too.
Thank you.
Madam President, if I may?
Yes.
We need the Zoom meetings back, and we need to give our community the ability to comment through those Zoom meetings. We keep paying lip service to the idea of we care about parents, we care about community. We're not doing what we can in this particular case. A parent should not be coming here at 10 o'clock at night when she has children, when she's tired, when they are, whatever it is that is happening in their lives. We are constantly, and this is something that I've always felt, even before this whole Zoom and whatever it is that's going on, we keep talking about parental involvement and family involvement, but as a society in general, this is not just Union. We don't give families the space to be involved in the way that they can be involved. we need these Zoom meetings back. Let's stop playing games with this. I'm fine. I would rather deal with the inconvenience of a few seconds of feedback because of sound issues, but still have all of the community involved on some level. At least let's give them the opportunity, thank you, because we're robbing them. And we can't talk about inclusion and, all of these other things, but we're not making every effort to include every member of our community. We are robbing quite a few people of the opportunity to participate in the education of their children. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comments?
Sol Atención, 340 Willow Drive. Last school year, the high school had 2-month trial for a service called Smart Pass and a metal detector. It's not longer in the high school because it was just a trial. So in our last PTA meeting, we were shown some items obtained by the administration last school year, and some of that included knife. So I am begging, I am saying, please, please, take these two services in consideration. Maybe possibly find a grant or something so you can bring this to our high school. Safety is a must. Both services were proven to work. If you need more information about it, I'm pretty sure the high school administration can provide. But I was terrified to see all the things that they actually got last school year. With regard to Zoom, I was actually wanting to talk about that too. I know it's my understanding that you continuously strive to improve your practices to promote inclusivity and diversity. And you guys are working to find avenues for inclusion and equity. So I want to know what are the avenues you guys are looking into right now to promote and to get Zoom back, or something where the community can actually be present and be heard. Because TV 34 and Facebook mutes the community. I mean, it's almost 10 o'clock and we're here. Not everyone can do what I'm doing right now. So I don't know what needs to be done, what kind of grant or what kind of funds you guys need, but bring Zoom back. We need it. It's a tool that proves that it works, makes inclusion and have open the doors to have the community in here when they're not even in here. I mean, you guys know that. I don't have to say that. With regard to Ms. Bossar, same question. I'm hoping.
Finish your thought, finish your thought, finish your thought.
Okay, Ms. Bossar is excellent. The smart passes were taken away. She came up with a program to get this safety protocol done. I feel like she cares, she's there, she's very supportive. She listened, she heard. Please take that in consideration. She's a great principal. We went through the previous one. My kid was a freshman, it was not great. Please just take that in consideration. We don't want to lose more qualified people to do the work. We lost Dr. Smalls. Last year we lost Amy Pollinger, which was an excellent staff and I know this because She was my son's special ed teacher for almost 3 years. Please, take that in consideration. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I just say something, Madam President? In reference to the Zoom, it's an easy fix. It's as simple if any person on the board could just make a motion to bring back Zoom. The point of it is you have to have
That's what I'm
people to
asking,
vote for
and
it.
I'm begging to please, you guys need just to do the motion and just approve it. I mean, the community is being muted. I mean, it's a proven tool. It works. It works, and people can be with their family and still be part of the meetings. It's very important.
Thank you.
Just do it. Just do it.
Next comment?
I'm sorry, Ms. Shannon, I just wanted to say something. I have a colleague that
Wait,
never.
they didn't start my time, did they?
No, they did not. I'm speaking, thank you. So there's a colleague I have that never toots her own horn, and I think she knows that I'm gonna toot it. And I wanna say thank you to her for all that she has done in reference to operations and bringing all these type of safety protocols to the school. A lot of times she goes unheard, and it's our board president, Mackenzie. There's a lot of things that she brings to the forefront, and I just want to say thank you so much to her for all of these things that you're one of the unsung heroes, ma'am. Thank you.
Ann Margaret Shannon, Spruce Street Union, and the UTA president. I want to say welcome back, everyone. I'm looking forward to a wonderful year. I want to thank Dr. Benaquista and quite a few of you who did mention some nice thoughts about our great educators, so I appreciate the kind words. I just wanted to bring up some some events that we've been involved with, just to remind you guys that we're here to support you. So UTA was very happy to be able to have a second townwide, what do they call, block party? You know, some of you were there, and I appreciate that. We hope to continue to be able to do that. And the nice thing about that, it was just for fun. There was nothing else, no other agenda, just for fun. Then on the 23rd of August, we did have a golf outing at Galvin Hill Golf Course that did have an agenda, and we raised $6,000 for high school senior scholarships. Last year, we only raised $4,000, so we're making a move. We always spend $8,000, so hopefully we'll get to that point where we make the $8,000, and then maybe we can make more scholarships. Just this past Friday, we participated in the Hispanic Heritage Festival, and on Sunday, we are a proud gold sponsor of the Mayor's 5K, so we hope to see you out there, and I'm sure that we're gonna have sun. Again, we're off to a great start and looking forward to being involved in many more community events, so thank you.
Thank you.
Any other public comment? Well, before we go, I want to say one thing. This board is working very hard, and I appreciate each and every member on this board and the time commitment that they put in for all that they do. And again, we're here working for you. The tone of this meeting has been great. It's been a long night, but I feel different energy in this room, and it feels encouraging, and I want to keep the same energy as we continue through this school year and continue to work together. And I really feel strongly that we are going somewhere, and it's only up from here, and I appreciate it. And I really feel great energy for this year. So with that being said,
Motion?
yes. We have roll call.
Mrs. Prince Watson?
Yes.
Ms. Carbonell?
We are on our way up, Ms. Mackenzie. Here.
Mrs. Manisi? Mr. O'Shea? Mrs. Regis Darby?
Yes.
Ms. Santana?
Yes.
Mrs. Scott Heeden? Ms. McKenzie?
Yes. Have a good night.
Good night.
Night.